Welcome to the Folktale Project. This is Dan Scholes. This week, we're visiting Germany for 3 new tales, and we're going to start, not as we generally do with the Brothers Grimm, but with a story from Legends of the Rhine by Wilhelm Ruland. Our first tale is, well, it's about perspective, really, and making sure that we always keep it in check. This is The Toy of the Young Giantess. In olden times, a race of giants is said to have lived in Alsace. Castle Nideck, in the valley of the Bruch, was their residence. But even the ruins of this fortress have long since disappeared. The legend, however, remains to tell us that they were a peaceable people, well disposed to mankind. The daughter of the master of the castle was one day leisurely walking through the adjoining wood. On approaching the fields and meadows of the valley, she perceived a peasant ploughing. The young giantess looked in great astonishment at the tiny man who seemed to be so busily engaged trudging along after his little team and turning up the ground with his small iron instrument. She had never before seen anything so wonderful, and was very much amused at the sight. It seemed to her a nice little toy, and she clapped her hands in childish glee so that the echo sounded among the mountains. Then, picking up the man, horse, and plough, she placed them in her apron and hurried back gaily to the castle. There, she showed her father the nice little toy, greatly pleased at what she had found. The giant, however, shook his enormous head gravely and said in a displeased tone, "Don't you know, child, who this trembling little creature with his struggling tiny animal is that you have chosen for a plaything? Of all the dwarfs down in the valley below, he is the most useful. He works hard and indefatigably in scorching heat as well as in windy cold weather, so that the fields may produce fruit for us. He who scoffs at or maltreats him will be punished by heaven. Take the little laborer, therefore, back to the place where he came from." The young giantess, greatly ashamed and deeply blushing with embarrassment, put the amusing little toy back into her apron and carried it obediently down to the valley. And that is the toy of the young giantess. And we see and are reminded that everything is about scale and perspective. To us, the giants are giants, but to them, we're nothing but little dwarfs who go about making their day easier. This is Dan Scholes for the Folktale Project. Don't forget that you can subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Play, Overcast, anywhere you like to get your podcasts. You can follow us on Twitter at Folktale Project. You can find us on Auto Radio, TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, Spotify, anywhere you like to listen. And you can always head over to folktaleproject.com, where you'll find a new story waiting for you every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Don't forget that if you'd also like to help support the podcast, you can head over to patreon.com/folktaleproject, where for as little as $1 a month, you can get early access to every story told. And don't forget, those who become patrons this month in September have a special treat coming to them. As always, thank you so much for listening.